Hi, and welcome back to The Bias Cut. This week, we're going to be talking about the one, the only, Zendaya, and her stylist, Law Roach.
But before we begin, if you are new here, we are a podcast that we talk about fashion history, pop culture, and whatever else we like to talk about. So if you are interested and want to follow along, go ahead and subscribe.
We're going to talk about the greatest fashion love story of this century, I would say. Zendaya and her image architect, creative director, stylist, Law Roach. We're going to get into how this partnership came to be, how it works, what their process is, and maybe ask the question, does Zendaya deserve a little bit more credit than she usually gets? Mm-hmm. Rightly so. Law is credited for creating these looks, and he always does say that she has a massive part in it, but I feel like publications don't like to focus on that so much.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So we're gonna have a little discussion. We're gonna watch some interview clips and see. First up, who is Zendaya? If you live under a rock. I don't know, I feel like I have to say just in case. Zendaya, who was born Zendaya Marie Sturmer Coleman. She was born in September 1st, 1996. Born in Oakland, California, she began her career as a child actor, starring in the Disney show Shake It Up. She played the character Rocky Blue opposite Bella Thorne. What happened to her? Where'd she go?
That's a
She's still
longer
out and
story,
about.
I would say.
Okay.
It's going to be a longer story.
And if you want to watch that episode, comment down below.
At one point, she was dating Tana Mojo. That's all I know.
Oh, okay.
That was crazy.
Well...
That was during like the TanaCon. Anyway, move on.
So much. So much law. Okay. So Spiderman was in 2017. She took on the role of MJ, and that was kind of her first major movie role. She also starred in the Versace on the Floor music video with Bruno Mars, and I think that was a really big moment in her career too, because she was wearing, it was a blue Versace dress, if I'm remembering correctly. I could be wrong.
She was also in Lemonade too with Beyonce.
She was?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very cool. So she's in the cultural conversation. She's gaining some traction, but she's not a huge star yet. She's still very young. But The Greatest Showman was in 2017, and that was kind of her first romantic lead.
When she has that pink hair
in
The Greatest Showman.
People really loved it. They loved her. She was doing the transition very well into film.
Yes.
Away from the kid actor. And then, of course, Euphoria in 2019, and that was the big one. That really cemented her as an established actress. People kind of forgot about her as a kid actor, which is kind of unprecedented. I don't know if I could say that, but
I'm trying to think if has anyone else made that transition so seamlessly.
To go from Disney kid to the point where most people in the general public don't realize you were a Disney kid. That's I think quite.
Anyone else would be Ariana. Would be the only.
Yeah,
she's a Nickelodeon
probably.
kid, of course.
Yeah.
She's probably the only. I mean, I feel like I might be forgetting someone, but to make such a seamless transition into.
It's very rare, is our point.
Yes,
it's not common, but Euphoria really established her as a kind of serious actress. She won 2 Emmys for it. Obviously, the show just ended this year, thank God. But another thing with Euphoria is that it was very known for its unique style and makeup. And whilst Rue wasn't necessarily a character that was wearing super great clothes, she was kind of just wearing long t-shirts.
She was not the fashionista of the show.
Kind of just a regular teenage look. Yeah.
But by association, she is she's in this world of quite elevated fashion and very distinct aesthetic. And now she's on her generational run of blockbusters, and we will get into that later. So next up, who is Law Roach? This is probably something that people know less about. I don't think many people know about his background. He was born in and grew up in Chicago. He studied psychology at Chicago State University and also started a clothing boutique, Deliciously Vintage, in Pilsen. It's a really interesting story. So he grew up underprivileged. He had a single mum. He was the eldest of 5 kids. Apparently his mum abandoned him with his sibling, as in took the siblings and left him by himself when he was 13 or 14. And so he was, fending for himself as a young boy, making money however he could, I think he has a story of like he would kind of go walk up and down the like supermarket aisles just to like collect groceries for people to earn some cash. And like it's incredible how he was able to get to where he is today. But he would thrift and resell the thrifted items. And that's how he kind of got into vintage and clothing. And he would like rent a hotel room because he didn't have a physical shop yet. So he would rent a hotel room and he would buy cheap champagne and juice and make little like mimosas to hand out. And he'd fill the room with these clothes and handbags and invite his friends. And they would come and they would buy. And that's how he kind of was able to save for a shop. And that was a brick and mortar shop in Chicago, which is where he met Zendaya. So apparently he was friends with Zendaya's dad or something. I wasn't really sure about that really, but they met when she was 14, I believe. But before I get into that, just to talk about Law now, he is the most famous stylist in the world, I would say, in terms of general public. His clients right now are Celine Dion, Zendaya, Tom Holland, Kerry Washington, Anya Taylor-Joy, Ariana Grande, Megan Thee Stallion, and some questionable people that, again, we will get into. He did retire. He announced his retirement in 2023. That was a big thing. And he, in his Instagram post, say, if this business was just about clothes, I would do it for the rest of my life. But unfortunately, it's not. The politics, the lies, the false narratives finally got me. You win. I'm out. And he talks about it in an interview with The Cut where, I mean, essentially he was just not being respected as a creative. His clients, they were just kind of treating him very shitty. And it seems like there was kind of this idea of like people's publicists and personal PR team would kind of be cagey towards him. Like they wouldn't want him to like, so they would like spread rumors about him and talk badly about him to other clients. And then clients would call him and say, I don't want to work with you anymore. And there were rumors that were spread that like he would only use clothing that Zendaya didn't want. And it's all of these kind of things. So he was really struggling. I mean, he is obviously a black man in a field that is predominantly white women. I mean, stylists, that's always how it's been. And it tends to also be like Nepo babies. So it's incredibly difficult environment for him to really feel comfortable in, I think. And he talks about styling as a service job. Like that's something that he brings up a lot in different interviews. And I think that really sums up his ethos towards it. Like he takes it as it's his job to make his client happy and satisfied and feeling good. And he takes that very seriously. Like he's very much a workaholic. But obviously that takes its toll when you are just constantly giving.
Yeah.
So in 2023, he was out. He was done.
I think that is so interesting the way he approaches it. And I think really that is like the marker of what makes a good stylist. You see on Twitter all the time people comparing celebrities who have the same stylist or who are like ambassadors for the same brand. They'll compare like, why does she look so good, but she looks a mess?
Right.
And it's like, well, they're doing the work for these people. It's all so individualized. So you're going to see a completely different thing depending on who you're working with. It's not all in the designer or all in the stylist, right?
And I think that's a good point to bring up of how he styles different individuals because all of his clients look very different on red carpets. Like it's not that he has a style that he is superimposing onto these people. You can tell that he works with them, and
like that's his job.
He calls himself an image architect, which some people find pretentious and I think are not a fan of. I think it makes sense. It's what he does.
Yeah,
like,
it's certainly pretentious, but I like
language.
it. You know.
And I think. It does just come down to people not seeing the value in dressing people.
Exactly.
And not understanding the impact. This man, like the moments that he creates generate so much money. Like studios really should be at his beck and call because his work kind of does determine the success of an opening weekend for a film.
And like I think image architect, I get why people think that's pretentious because it certainly is. What we would have said in the industry years ago is like he is a tastemaker. That is what you would call it, and he certainly is. Absolutely.
Which tastemaker is also pretentious too. It's like you're talking about people who are spending thousands of dollars on clothing to create an image. It's going to be pretentious, but it's not like that is like a false indicator of what he's doing. Like he is creating I mean, there are so many people who really know Zendaya through her like red carpet moments and not through like necessarily the things that she stars in. Yeah.
So how did the partnership between Zendaya and Law begin? So Law began working with Zendaya in 2010. So she would have been 14. That first image on the left-hand side, she is 14.
Such a cutie.
Such a cutie.
So
I think it was in 2011. I think it was
cute.
for like some Justin Bieber something.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the first look that Laura ever styled her in, which is, I mean, it's stinking cute.
It's so cute.
They've really grown together. Isn't that sweet?
They have.
Like,
They really have.
Yeah.
The next look shows a little bit more mature. And this was for the Grammys. Don't know why she was in the Grammys. At the Grammys. Who knows? I don't like this look, but I think it's a good way.
Time.
It's of the time. And it's showing the transition. So 2014, she would be 18. She's exploring new styles. She does look older, but she doesn't look not like herself, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Like, you know, she's having fun with things. The next look, this coat, I believe, went viral when she was wearing it. I think this was also 2014. It was at a fashion week, I think. But people loved it. This is probably one of her first like big fashion moments. I don't personally remember it, but it's what Cosmo's telling me.
People were loving it.
And then it's her first Met. So this was Trying Through the Looking Glass, I believe. What a sweet look. Again, it's nothing crazy. And I think in comparison to the looks that she's doing right now, we would think this is kind of not super high on the list.
For a first Met, if I had seen her, then it would be like, it's probably one of the best looks from that Met.
Yeah, it's
and
gorgeous.
It being her first Met, it's pretty great.
And we see the So-Kates. But before we get to the So-Kates, had to include this look because did you know in 2016 Zendaya and Law tried to start a shoe brand called Daya? I find so ironic considering she now only wears So-Kates. I don't know if that company still exists or if she completely gave it up.
Probably
Who knows?
not.
And then we have this other Met look which she's wearing Dolce. And I bring this up because, one, I think it's a great look.
I think it is.
At face value, it's a great look. I bring up Dolce. I would just remember that Dolce is in the mix. The big thing is that a lot of brands were just not agreeing to dress her. So the big ones, you know, the Dior, the Chanel, the Gucci, just were not engaging with either Laura or Zendaya at all. She was not of interest to these brands, which is obviously in contrast with today, where they are fighting
Scrambling
for her. Probably they would.
Yeah.
But a big thing for Laura and Zendaya, they did joint red carpet appearances. So Laura would be photographed with her on the red carpets, which is pretty unique. You don't see that. You don't see stylists being photographed with, I mean, obviously they will at some point be photographed, but to be consistently on the red carpet with your talent is not super common. And I think it goes to show that Zendaya was also heavily advocating for Law in these spaces, and it's something that Law really talks about in interviews, how Zendaya has always been lifting him up, always trying to highlight his voice in meetings. If he's being ignored, which apparently he would be, like people would just ignore what he was saying.
Wow.
Zendaya would specifically stop the conversation, turn to him, be like, Law, what do you think? So it's small things like this, but also larger things of having him on the red carpet, being photographed with him, actively associating her brand with his. So it's a very well-established partnership. I mean, it's continued on to today, and they've really grown together. I just feel that right now the conversation has kind of shifted entirely to Law, and Zendaya doesn't really maybe get as much credit as a creative when it comes to fashion, which I think probably Law would be the first to also agree with. I don't think he's actively trying, like he very much brings her up in conversations, but I think because she is the talent and an actress, and it's very much we're in an era of celebrities assumed to not dress themselves, so I think
because it's
that's
all about
where
branding.
from.
We've assumed that nothing can be genuine It's interesting.
Yes,
Like, when did that
everything's
change?
fabricated. Yeah.
I also wanted to just like point out too, because we're mentioning, they're always together, they're on red carpets together, particularly this 2019 Met Gala, where he is dressed with her, not only like
Yeah.
dressed to match her in the fairy
No,
godmother
it's
costume, but he was like a
yeah.
part of it. Didn't he like
Yes.
wave the magic wand
Yes.
and that's
Yeah,
what
he
lit the thread
did.
up? That was so sweet.
It was.
I was
And
just
I
touched
think
by that.
And also that kind of sums up their dynamic, isn't it? Like he is kind of, in terms of, if we're talking about Cinderella, the fairy godmother creates the outfits, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
that's cute. I like that. It's
Yeah.
meta. And I think that ties into, he's got a quote that he says in a lot of interviews that he's the big ideas person and she's the small details. And I think that really shows in how they build narratives and how they choose to go about their storytelling. I think the fact that storytelling is so central to their styling is really what makes them special. They don't treat clothes as just clothes. They treat it as a full image and as a full story, which is what gets people's attention. It's what makes people care. Also, she doesn't wear, this was news to me, she doesn't wear Gucci, Chanel or Dior on carpets because they refused law early on in the career.
Wow, so she's
Still
really
not to
stuck
this
to
day?
that. That's
Still not to
really
this day. She'll wear them
cool.
for editorials, but she has not worn them on red carpets. As far as that interview, so that might have changed.
Yeah.
I found that really interesting. I think
That's cool, honestly, like really sticking to your guns.
she only wears Valentino now because she had a campaign with them, and I think she built a relationship with Pier Paolo. That really surprised me. I was like, oh dang, yeah, I don't think I've seen her in a Chanel dress on a carpet, which is probably why she's well dressed.
Well, I think to point out too, like I do think I've heard that about how she doesn't wear Chanel or Dior, and I think it's really interesting what you said about Valentino, and now she's able to work with them. I just want to like clarify something about, these older legacy brands. They are constantly changing. Well, maybe not as constantly as you'd want them to be, but they certainly do have eras where different
100%.
people are in charge and things can change. So,
I think we'll be seeing her in Matthew Blazy's Chanel soon. Also, Jonathan Anderson at Dior, because she's done Loewe, like so much Loewe stuff. I mean, for challenges.
Some
like,
of her
Loewe
most
was
iconic looks have been Loewe.
Yeah, like Loewe was the costume designer for challenges. So I think this will very much change. But it shows that, and this we'll get into it as well. We'll link up some threads at the end of this discussion, but it seems interesting that they have very strong convictions when it comes to some things and perhaps not so strong convictions when it comes to other things.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Okay.
And let's get into the birth of method dressing.
Ooh.
Arguably what made Zendaya and Law. I will just say they didn't create method dressing because I don't think you can really create a concept like that.
I don't think so.
People have been dressing themed forever.
Yeah.
So I did just throw in the Gina Davis at the premiere of A League of Their Own wore this little baseball dress in 1992. So I thought I'd
It's
just
so cute.
pop that in here to show you that, this we're not claiming that Zendaya and Law created this.
It's just become a part of Zendaya's brand now.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of people say that Blake Lively is the first one to method dress for a simple favor, which I think is wild.
I do not know this.
Because Zendaya was doing a lot for, what's the first Spiderman? Homecoming was in 2017.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure she did dress in theme for Homecoming. So don't know why they're
Also,
saying Blake Lively is the first.
I hate
That's
to
kinda
be
crazy.
shady to Blake Lively, but with anything, it's like, who did this first? Yeah, maybe someone did it before, even if she did. But if you're not
Doesn't
like
mean she did it well.
making an impact, if people aren't looking at it and acknowledging what's happening, I don't know if you can really get like, oh, she did it first credit.
Yeah, I definitely say so.
It's like, who made the cultural impact with doing it first?
She did say, wear your flowers. So, she was telling all of us to method dress.
For anyone who doesn't know what method dressing is, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's named after the idea of method acting, of staying in role even when you're not being filmed. But method dressing is dressing in theme of the film or TV show that you are promoting. It might be quite literal, like you see for the Barbie press run. Margot Robbie was recreating Barbie looks. But you also have it in more subtle ways, more how Zendaya and Law approach it, of taking an aspect of a character or getting inspiration from like the landscape of a film,
Mhm.
etc. It's a really broad concept and has been explored in many different ways. Apparently the first mention in a Vogue article was in 2023, which feels really late. And it was about Halle Berry. Not Halle Berry, different person. Halle Bailey. The mermaid looks for The Little Mermaid. People are saying method dressing owes its designation to that journalist in 2023, Andre Wheeler. But like, that doesn't feel right. I know that, so if anyone knows Hot Le Mode, the YouTube channel,
Yes.
Luke on that has been using the term method phrasing for ages. So
Yeah.
What is going on?
So it was
no.
So it was Hot Le Mode that broke.
I personally think that was the first time, because
Same with
I remember,
me, honestly.
I remember watching the video where he said, this
Yeah.
isn't really a thing, but I call it method dressing. So I don't know.
I'm going to choose to credit Hot Le Mode with this one.
So method dressing is also thought of as a way of kind of doing fan service, giving Easter eggs. It's getting people excited, especially when you're doing it with these kind of legacy characters of like MJ from Spiderman or, you know, these June characters. They have a following already, so you are kind of giving little nods to fans, and it's a way of kind of referencing content that isn't necessarily the film. So you might be referencing a comic book look, you might be referencing the book that the script is based on, and also it creates viral moments. That's the big thing. It creates press and it generates money. So what I was saying about law being an integral part of a film's promotion, you should be getting paid for that.
Yeah, I never thought of it like that.
I mean, MJ was in that first film for what, like 5 seconds?
Literally.
She was not in that Spider-Man film very much, but we heard about Zendaya so much in the press front and her looks, and that's generating interest and excitement. And you had it for June as well. I don't think June would have had the impact it did if Zendaya was not doing the looks that she was for that first film.
I just, now that you're saying that, I haven't even realized how present these movies have been in the culture. And like, that kind of zapped right onto us, right? Like all of a sudden everything is about Dune for the past 5 years. And it's kind of, it's all about her, right?
It is all about her. Because like,
it's not about
Timothy isn't, he's
Nothing's
not
about
really
Timothy.
doing the method dressing thing. But I've done a side-by-side of a couple of the Dune looks. This is from first and second, so it's a mix. But for me, that Balmain dress, I think it was from Cannes, that was huge for me in my world.
Incredible.
No, I mean, that's the one that I remember the most from all of the press runs.
Yeah, and that is also a good example of, on the runway, it was just the bodice. It wasn't a dress on the runway look. So it's a good example of how they modify runway looks and make custom. And in the interview, I think it's the Vogue lookbook video that she did, she said she was the one that wanted it as a dress. So again, Miss Z is all my words ran away.
She's active in this process.
Yes.
She is not a passive. She doesn't stand by.
She is not a passive. Yeah. Sorry, Maggie, I interrupted you with what you were going to say something.
This is like a total sidebar as I'm looking at all of these looks, but I think what makes Law so talented is with every red carpet look almost, there's always a moment of like, this dress is beautiful, but the shoes ruin it, or the hair ruins it, or like it needs more jewelry, like it's not quite right. And that doesn't happen for her. It's
That's
all
such
like
a good
with this
point,
first
Maggie.
look, it's such like, the dress is beautiful, of course, the emerald with it, great. The hair, great. The makeup, great. It's all great.
And that's something that, again, he talks about in interviews a lot. He says he sees the whole look. Like when he comes up for things, he doesn't just think, oh, this dress could work or this could work. He sees the whole thing and he tries to make
And that's
that
why he's an
happen.
image architect.
And that, but truly, like that is why.
I mean
like,
it,
It's just like, it feels like we're saying it sarcastically, but we're not.
No,
We
yeah.
mean
Not
it.
at all.
Like,
I also, honestly, I don't really think it's that pretentious. If
I
I'm
don't
being
think it is
honest.
either. I think
that
it's just
fun
because-
and like artsy and like,
and I think it's because it's related to clothes. People don't take it seriously. People don't understand the impact of that job and how important it really is and how hard it really is.
this might be me thinking like too out of scope with it, but I wonder if it like strikes a chord with people. It's the realization that celebrities are a false image, and maybe that makes people feel uncomfortable.
That's a really good point.
Because image architect is so clear that like this is not the real person.
Whoa, you have something there. That's definitely, I think, tapping into something, because we've talked so much about this idea, this false false idea of authenticity on this channel, and I think it is just a recurring theme when it comes to public figures and celebrities, is that you need to establish that feeling of relatability, but at the same time, these people, there are so many walls between the person standing on a red carpet and the person looking at a photograph on their phone of this look. There's so many degrees of separation, and there's so many different ways that that image is changed and curated and interpreted, and people don't like that. They want to feel like they know this person intimately and what they see is true to that person.
And I think specifically for Zendaya, because she kind of has this like very chameleon quality to like a lot of her probably red carpet looks. I don't know necessarily about paparazzi shots where you might see the clothing that she's wearing on the day to day, but I definitely feel like for her red carpet looks, she really is a chameleon.
100%.
And I wonder if that makes people feel uncomfortable and we don't actually know what her personal style is, and people want to know personal style so that they can reproduce their favorite celebrity's personal style.
Yeah, that is such a good point. And it reminds me of, not to make everything about Taylor Swift, but I will. It's like when she is seen on the street at this point in her career, if she did not want to be seen, she would not be seen. When she's being seen, fans will look and be like, what is she wearing? What's the Easter egg? What does this mean? You know, because it's like, this is on purpose. This isn't just like a happenstance her going to dinner. Every time we see Zendaya as of late, I don't know, am I not tapped in enough? Back in the day, like in the 2018-19, it was all about her streetwear and stuff. And we don't really see that anymore because I think she's valuing her privacy, which is like all in her, you know, every time we see her, it's incredibly intentional, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's on purpose.
I say that people find it pretentious that Law Roach. People also love Law Roach and they love Zendaya. And I think we should just stress that people love the method dressing.
Yes, definitely.
This is very celebrated.
Very much so.
And for good reason. It's fun. Again, it's using clothes to tell stories and to tell narratives, and it's pushing what clothes can be and what outfits can be. And June, I think, is a fun collection of looks because it's a lot of archive. The Mugler look was the big one. The robot suit, people went crazy for that. I think anyone that studies 20th century fashion history knows this look. It's on everyone's Pinterest board. It's kind of the fashion
holy grail,
book of the Bible. Like it's
the Holy Grail. It's the book of the Bible. It's like incredible. And there was kind of this assumption that no one would be able to wear it because one, you kind of have to fit into its exact measurements. You can't really.
You can't
like tailor it. Or I was watching something about how this look came to be, and it was actually Zendaya sending this to Law, saying I want to do this. So it was her, and then Law was like, don't mess with me because I will make this happen. And if you chicken out at the end.
That's awesome.
That's so cute.
So they went down this whole route, and I think originally they met up with the guy who made the original suit, and I think they were planning to make a version to fit her body, but then it turned out she just fit into the sample, which is crazy, and it all worked out. And I think she was only able to wear it for like 10 minutes on the red carpet because I mean, look at it. It's insane.
Have you ever seen those photos of her next to Timothy at that premiere, and he's like in a t-shirt, and it's like, geez, that's a whole other conversation.
That is a whole other conversation.
That'll be another video.
And it goes to show that they both really love fashion. That was what this one really signaled, I think, to people. You're not just wearing this for the sake of wearing a famous dress, cough, cough, Kim Kardashian. They're using it to engage with the story. Like, it was so good. It was so good.
And that, like, they care about history, too. Like, as three historians here. It's like, it's really touching. It's like, oh, when other people remember, too. Like,
yes. That's a really good way of putting it.
It continues to reinvent the story of the piece, you know, the iconic look. What I really love about this, and I think you see this, and we'll probably talk about it soon, is how she has never been afraid of playing with masculine and feminine. She pulls looks and like changes her haircut to more masculine, you know, haircuts and styles and whatever, but then also does really feminine and then kind of does things in between. Like, she really plays with gender in a really fun way.
Let's move on to challenges. completely different aesthetic.
This is my favorite.
to
shift.
do. Complete
I love this
vibe
one.
shift.
I love
she
it.
went with blonde hair. She's going full preppy. She's going full feminine, I would say, for this one. Like, she's really leaning in to that kind of, I mean, you see that first dress, it's very 50s kind of housewife
It's all
vibes.
over my Pinterest board.
Yeah. And a lot of these ones were custom looks. So that green sequiny one with the tennis, the shadow, that was a custom Loewe look. The middle one is my favorite.
I love that look so much.
That's my favorite too. And the hair here,
It's
again,
so cheeky.
to make it
It's
about
so
it, she looks like
cheeky,
Taylor
it's so
Swift in
cute.
2012, which is my favorite time for Taylor Swift. So incredible,
And
amazing.
a little shoe mention, because this did have the tennis ball, so Kate. I thought it was a really cute little addition. And I think this range of looks shows how broad their interpretation can be for a film, which I love. Because I put that little pea coat next to the sporty one on purpose, because I think it just shows how different
like Twiggy.
you could potentially. She looks so good.
She looks
I was
so good. I love
obsessed
it.
with this coat when she wore it. Oh my god. Yeah, it's the range. It's the range.
I feel like it really shows the relationship between the two of them and how it's a conversation of when the looks will come out. You know, they've already created the looks that they want to do, but it's when they're going to release the entire lookbook of, you know, this method dressing. And even that's a conversation between the two of them, which I think is really cool, because I think it shows that celebrities can have agency in like the clothing that they wear for press runs, for red carpets. It doesn't have to just be like, put this on and this is what you're going to wear. Like you can be involved in your own image building.
Yeah, that's what I loved when he said, "What do you want to wear? What do you want to wear tonight?"
Yeah.
I don't know, that one question, I was like, that's so, like, I don't know. I just...
Yeah.
It's like almost quaint about it now, right? Because all of these looks, you imagine it's this whole operation, which it is, but it's also just like two people picking out clothes, you know?
I feel like that's what makes it feel less pretentious to me. He's been there throughout the majority of her career and has seen her along the way and has seen her rise into this like crazy stardom. And how cool is that to be along for that ride and like be a part of that partnership?
I mean, obviously I knew about Zendaya and Law, but I didn't really know about the intricacies of their relationship. But it does, like, the more I learn about it, he will talk about her immediately in every single interview. And not in a way that is like trying to jump on her kind of thing. It's when he's asked, who's your biggest champion, Zendaya, what does loyalty mean to you, Zendaya? He will always talk about how grateful he is of her. And I just think that's really nice.
I'm gonna say something so pretentious. Is it that different than, like, you know, just sometimes in art, two people just kind of click and they get each other, and that's beautiful. And it's like, like Lennon and McCartney.
You're 100%.
Thank goodness they found each other.
That really hits at the point that I think is important in all of this, in that clothing is art and all of this is an artistic practice. And I feel like, Maggie, you even relating those two together, it shows that this isn't just like some frivolous, silly thing. This is art. What they're doing is art.
Let's get into the looks of the drama. So this was the one of the something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue, which I just think, when you hear it, it sounds like such an obvious thing, but when you really think about it, it's like, how did you come up with that? I don't know. To me, it makes so much sense when you see it, but to actually come up with that idea and execute it so well, that's
kind of crazy.
Yeah. And again, I do believe it was Zendaya's idea, which Law says. Like, Law does say
I believe that. Yeah.
There's something old, which is a dress that she wore before, which was quite a controversial dress. So when she first wore it, she wore it with locks, and that started a huge conversation.
It was
that I don't think
up.
The three of us can really speak to at all, apart from just, that's crazy.
It was bad. And she looked beautiful. And
she looked beautiful.
Yeah.
But she wore it again this time, and it's still a great dress. Like, the dress itself isn't super special. I actually can't even remember. Is it a Vivienne Westwood?
It is, yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah. It's not a super standout dress in and of itself, but again, it's showing how they understand that clothing carries context. And they very well knew what they were doing when they were putting her in this again. It's
No,
just
absolutely.
so smart.
Because it's like an Easter egg for sure for fans to be like, oh,
yeah.
like it's the dress again, and that's so fun. It's crazy. Just, I mean, the past decade or so, what her career has become. As so many actors come into the industry, they have no power, and like now she does have much more power than she once had, and like to kind of take that now to nod back to then and like reclaim this dress. Like she's not gonna let anyone ruin this dress for her.
That's what I really liked. I think it's just saying to people, it was just kind of a fuck you. I read it as that.
It kind of was,
I
right?
did as well.
And they're just so smart. Like, their understanding of how media works and how social media work, and knowing what kind of stories it's going to generate, what kind of conversations are going to be had. It's so much forethought. I don't know. I just think it's so impressive. Like, to do another thing that I realized when I was putting this together, the amount of looks that they do per film, insane.
Yeah.
And they are all so different. The amount of coordination that goes into just making those looks happen is one thing, but planning them all and planning them to this degree, it blows my mind, truly. So that was something old. Something new is the one on the far right with the bow on the back. Gorgeous, very sleek. It's, again, this one's, it's not super crazy. The looks for this film, they kept it pretty low-key. If you low-key, the massive blue shiny Schiaparelli in the middle. But you know what I mean?
Well, it's kind of low-key for her.
It's kind of low-key for her. Like, it's not super in your face. You wouldn't necessarily know it's method dressing unless you really know Zendaya and how she works for press. But then you have something borrowed, which is, she borrowed it from Kate Blanchett, this little black number, which I think is so cute that they just went to Kate and like, can we have that dress?
Kate's an icon.
Like, sure.
Can we have that?
Can we have it?
And she wore it and it looks phenomenal. And then we have the something blue, which I believe is McQueen. She wore it to Kimmel, one of the talk shows. But I mean, stunning, ethereal, magical, beautiful, incredible. And then we have the big one, which is my favorite. I think this is one of my favorite looks ever. I'm obsessed with it. It is the Schiaparelli look with these blue iridescent feathers. Oh my God, it's stunning. My God, it's stunning.
Beautiful. The ability to make a color and a feather look like it's a light source is crazy.
Yeah. And I love that she used it for this film. It's a really unconventional choice, I think.
They knew too, like, if you're gonna do the whole thing, something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. I think the something old was the first to like debut in this, and you know, it got so much attention. So it's like, when you're gonna do blue, it's gotta be blue. It can't just be like, it has to be a baby blue. It's gotta be bam, blue.
Because I think we first thought that it was the McQueen dress with the blue, and you're like, that's cute, and then she came out in the Schiaparelli and you're like, oh,
that's it. But I like they kind of teased it too.
They did.
Like it was like, ooh, and then boom.
Let's get into the Spiderman. It shows the evolution as well. So the first dress, which is the sequin red and black, I do believe that was for the first one.
So the red one was for the second film.
So then the two on like each flank, I think those are both from the second. Oh no, maybe the spiderweb dress is from the third. It's just like no one's really done like a full timeline of her looks. It was actually surprisingly difficult to find all the looks.
The web dress was 2021.
Okay, so that was for the
No
third
Way
one.
Home for the third one.
Got it. The 5 in the middle are all just from this press run. So this is for the new one.
I love that little top and skirt set. That's so stinking cute.
So cute.
That is Versace. Vintage 90s Versace. This isn't even all of them. This is only 5. She did more.
Crazy.
I kind of picked a range. So you have the vintage Versace. The middle one is also archive. The t-shirt is just from eBay. The little jacket and lace thing is McQueen, recent McQueen. So they're pulling from a bunch of designers, which is, I think, another thing that sets her apart, because actresses get roped into these contracts and can only wear one brand. For the Odyssey though, she's really going all out. Nice little segue into our Odyssey looks. This is, I mean, incredible run.
I feel like you can really see her range in this too.
Yeah. So she is playing the role of Athena in the Odyssey. So all of these looks are Athena inspired, hence the white. And also, I think Athena's animal is an owl. So I feel like the feathers kind of link to that. She's wearing a bunch of different stuff. With Schiaparelli again, that was the light up one. Maggie, I know you have stuff to say about the Schiaparelli look. I have included a little clip of the Schiaparelli Instagram just to show the journey that this dress went on, because it was shown on the runway, immediately shipped off to Miss Zendaya.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, you can watch the little thing.
Is that Alex Consani?
Yes, so Alex Consani wore it on the runway, and then it was swiftly removed from her body, packed up into a car, and shipped off. And Law was accompanying that. Law and his assistants. Big up the assistants. I feel like they don't get
Yeah.
And that was a big one. That was a huge moment. Personally, it's not the look from that collection I would have picked, but it still works. It still looks fabulous. Okay. It doesn't fit her, Maggie, as you were, I'm sure.
It doesn't fit her. And how could it?
How
because
could
it was
it
on
came
Alex
straight off the
Consani's
runway.
25 minutes ago.
And these
I think,
like these busts were molded to specific bodies,
yes.
So it was never going to fit her.
It's a molded bust. Like, you can't tailor it. And, you know, we see horrible tailoring on the runway all the time. That's nothing new. But it's like Zendaya and Law, as we've seen in all the looks we've seen thus far, prioritize tailoring. So when it's bad,
I don't know.
very
This
obvious.
one, I think from the front you could get away with it. It's when she turns to the side and you see the gapping that it's a bit
the
like
gapping.
Oh. And I do personally,
And she was getting backlash.
I think this
for it
look
too.
was needed.
That's the thing.
so.
Was it worth all that?
I think
the
it
rest
was
of the
done
looks are-
for the press and for the viral moment. And listen, I get it. That is your job.
I think you've established that like you are good at this method at dressing and that it will be a viral moment. And I feel like that dress, I don't know, I'm not online, but I feel like the other outfits I've been seeing more, at least in the places I've
had
been
like,
so I feel like it just wasn't necessary. Like it was a viral moment, but like everything else has been a viral moment.
it was viral because it was just on the runway.
Yeah.
That's why. And what annoyed me with this look is that it lights up, but she wore it during a daytime event, so you can't tell that it lights up. So why are we wearing the look?
It just kind of, and maybe I'm totally wrong in being like cynical, it kind of read, we're doing this just to flex that we can.
I think
you know,
so.
like that we can go this far. And which is like, it makes sense given that, like, you know, they talk about Chanel and Dior like refused to dress her 10 years ago. And now look at, we're flying private jets on dresses just for her. Like, that's pretty exciting and you'd want to flex that. But that doesn't mean that you should.
Because you can, just doesn't mean that you should.
Yeah.
And then you have it contrasted with this incredible vintage McQueen look with the mask. And you're like,
See, if they told me they got a private jet for that, it's still bad, but like I would understand. You know, like
no, Maggie.
no, it's still bad, but it's like, well, yes, that's the only one like it in the world.
No,
like,
I get it. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Of like, this
it was an incredible moment.
It was
by the Eiffel Tower. The shots were amazing. Like it was truly incredible. We also have, so we're going to get into what I'm briefly touched on before about having convictions in some areas and not having them in others. So there are actually two things I want to touch on with this one, but we will do the earrings first. So these earrings are actual artifacts. They are actual coins that are thousands of years old. That is not necessarily the issue here. I would say the issue is more the origins of these coins. So I did include the reel from where I found out about this. So it's the Instagram account Dr. Archaeology.
I'm Dr. Z and I'm an archaeologist, obviously. And I want to respond to a fellow archaeology creator video today about Zendaya's earrings at the Odyssey movie premiere. I am in no way advocating trolling this fellow woman creator. Her video advocates the ancient jewelry inspo trend using real artifacts. And she says, I'm obsessed. I need more of it immediately. I'm also obsessed in the other way as a scholar, and I need less of it immediately. So Zendaya's Odyssey premiere earrings are seemingly first millennium BC gold adornment discs turned into earrings. And we know nothing else about their provenance, meaning their journey from their homeland, which is probably Iran. They are part of London jeweler Glenn Spiro's Old World collection that uses real artifacts sourced from the Middle East, North Africa, and West Africa. They were acquired by his son by means undisclosed. Bad taste in mouth. So pieces like this. So Glenn literally says in interviews that these pieces are a dialogue with glorious treasure hunting and the exoticism of far lands and the past. That ship don't launch for me, dog. These artifacts are likely looted from Iran, and they are gracing the ears of an American actress from a country that just bombed Iran. Bruh. Also, I think the irony of wearing historical jewelry to a movie that is an absolute train wreck of anachronistic language, armor, gender roles, pants, is a funny choice. So why not replicas? Because let's be real, the point of these earrings is not to showcase legitimate ancient artistry. It is to fetishize the past, right? To be a commodity stolen for the elite, circulated illegally and immorally. Super cool replicas would be cool, but that is not the point of this display. This is about class signaling. Fellow creators, please, let's not hype this type of commodity fetishism. You are aware that it drives the antiquities black market, which hurts cultural groups and local people.
Essentially, these earrings were sourced from, the brand is called Baron London, and they do specialize in, what is the right word for this? They take artifacts and they make jewelry out of it. Where he gets these artifacts is unknown. And the provenance of these artifacts tend to be just from the Middle East or, you know, etc. So these are gold medallion plaques circa 1st millennium BC Iran. So they were mounted by Glenn Spear. I think that's probably the jeweler's name, with diamonds in yellow gold. I mean, the glaring thing is it's Iranian artifacts being worn by an American actress for a press run when the US is actively bombing Iran is not like the best thing. But also the broader conversation of wearing artifacts with dubious sources. We're encouraging what is essentially probably, I mean, I can't say for certain, but probably a black market trade of these artifacts. I'm not accusing anyone of anything.
Well, I do think you can confidently say that just because the hoard that it comes from is like a black market hoard.
Okay.
So
There you go.
Yeah, I think you're okay to say that.
Like Baron London, don't sue me. But this is kind of my issue with Law. And honestly, Zendaya, because as we've established, she does have a role in creating these looks, and this works both ways. Like, you have accountability when it goes well, but also you need accountability when you make mistakes. And this to me was a mistake. I think, first of all, wearing these artifacts, they're not even Greek. Like, why are we doing that? It's the fetishization of the past. I don't know, it feels very sacrilegious, specifically with these, because I do believe they were found in a grave. They were stolen from a grave. Like, a person was buried with these.
With these specifically?
I do believe so. I believe this collection, like you said, was...
I think the hoard, I believe there are remains, but sometimes that happens with like where things, like it doesn't
necessarily mean it was buried.
Yeah, because there might be layers of objects.
Got it.
But that doesn't mean that it's not less fucked up.
Because you are still digging up human remains to get these?
Yes.
Regardless of if they were buried with them or not. But also, I haven't done enough research to say exactly what the context of these artifacts is. So, like, I don't know what the cultural significance that would be for Iranians. But probably going to say, like, go out on a limb here and say they don't want it to be turned into jewelry to be worn for a press run.
I don't think that's a stretch at all.
Because these are like, what, thousands of years old? So, like, we dig things up. That's what we do. We are trying to find out what the people before us were doing. But it's about the way in which you do that and what you do with the things you find. Probably not for a Chris Nolan movie.
The one thing I will say that I've seen archaeologists respond to with this that I personally disagree with is the like heavy emphasis of, in order for this to have been a valid dig, archaeologists would have had to be on site to like perform the dig.
Okay.
Archaeologists are like a Western creation. That's not
and
like
also does not have the best.
That's just because archaeologists are very, strict in their, beliefs that there's their process and all of that. And I think that's good and all, but the founding of archaeology comes from colonizers. Yes. And so I think that I just haven't really been agreeing with all that much, but that doesn't mean that what happened is like suddenly okay. Because it's obviously, these are stolen artifacts. looks.
And even regardless of the fact that they were stolen, wearing culturally specific items in a context in which they have no relation, it's lazy. It is offensive because you are essentially removing that object of any of its significance. You're saying you don't care. And just that at its premise, I think is wrong. So like there are so many layers to
Because is it
Yeah.
like, I mean, is it
It's
just
just
not to be like, oh, here's an old thing from kind of generally the
Exactly.
same region?
Exactly.
It's like, but
Yeah.
it's not the same place.
Exactly.
It's
It's
just
kind of like
like,
washing it over as like it's an
Yes.
object from antiquity,
Yes.
so it's like it's generally there. Also, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the British
Museum?
British Museum, and the Louvre all own objects from this hoard too.
Okay.
So also, you know,
Yeah.
just
when you said like we were listing museums, I was like, for a second, I thought you were gonna say like they said something about this of like this is bad, and I was like, if the British
that's great.
Museum said you were bad, this is really bad.
No,
But I
because
think
I
it's
was just going to
there's
say,
the-
just
go ahead.
because you see something in a museum does not mean it was ethically sourced. And I hope that
Exactly.
everyone, goes to museums with that mindset, because a lot of these objects that you see have very suspicious origin stories.
Museums are very important, but they've done
We
a
always
lot
have to
of bad
question
things.
things. We always have to question
We-
We
things.
always
Yes.
do. And I brought those museums up just to say that it's like a larger cultural problem. In like
100%.
yeah. It's not just if this is for the viewers, like if you think that it's just celebrities who do this, it's not.
I don't think we can necessarily use the excuse of they didn't know, because as we've established, they really pay
Learn.
attention to details.
Exactly.
And you are, I'm guessing, directly sourcing from Baron London. I would hope you would check what that brand does and the history of it.
Also, if you wanted something like this, you can like there are artists who do replicas, like especially with doing the Odyssey, you could have done Greek antiquity.
Why wouldn't
You
you do
know-
Greek antiquity? That's what's crazy to me. Like, I feel like that's the.
Because they didn't care. And this is what
Exactly.
my issue with Law and Zendaya is. Because if we go back to the Odyssey looks, the feather one is by the brand Fecal Matter. And yes, that you say it's a French name, but they say it in English, okay, before anyone comes for me. So this is a young brand. I don't know a lot about it, but what I do know is that their recent collection was kind of themed around Eat the Rich. All of their looks had, I don't know if you've seen the little dollar bills masks.
Oh, that's what what's her name?
Sarah Paulson.
worked at- yeah.
Yes. So my issue with this brand is that they are entirely reliant on shock value. I don't know anything about the brand's clothes. All I know about this brand is, first of all, their name. They named it Fecal Matter, which, like, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But can you, like, I cannot come up with a more performative collection than an Eat the Rich collection that you were advertising to the world's
To the
richest
rich.
people.
I was just
like, I just,
It's
when I saw
boring.
that, I just like couldn't comprehend it. It seemed so stupid. Like, how stupid do you think we are? And then Sarah
just-
Paulson wears it. Like,
I feel like it's really, people are giving us slop bowls. I feel like everything is like a slop bowl that they're just like, come up to the trough and eat your slop bowl. Like, it's so void of any type of meaning.
And this, I love this look. It's stunning. And Law apparently saw it in a collection 3 years ago and told them to hold it. And they've held it for her for 3 years. They haven't let anyone else wear it. And that is great. And it's great that you're championing the small designer. But to me, it's just another example of Law valuing the aesthetic above all else. And that is where I have slight issues with his
Yeah.
work. That's why I mentioned the Dolce thing at the beginning.
Yeah.
Because he still seems to have a relationship with those designers, which is wild. As a queer black man to still have a relationship with those designers is
Whoa.
just baffling to me. Like, I understand that you are not welcome in a lot of these spaces. And so when brands do want to build a relationship with you, then that means something. And that you would take that as like, oh, you are a good person. You want to work with me. But I don't know. I really struggle with justifying it. I just think there are so many things. And then you have the Bezos of of it all. And you have him, what's her name? I don't
Lauren
know. Laura
Sanchez.
Lauren,
Yeah.
that's it. So she's his client. He styled her for Fashion Week. It was that Fashion Week where you saw her and Jeff Bezos in all of the front rows. And why do you need to do that? You just don't need to. And you talk so much about storytelling and the integrity that you have in your artistry and your professionalism. And I just struggle so much with fully being able to accept that when you are doing things like this at the same time.
Well, I guess I'm curious what happened between him saying that he's retiring and then coming back. I wonder if there is some personal reason for why he's taking on a client like that. I just don't know. That's the only way that I could really see around it. But that's a stretch. As someone who clearly is like very tapped into the pulse of the fashion world and social media and the cultural conversation, you know what it looks like to take on Lauren Sanchez as a client. But then I think it's also like, ultimately for me, and I'm not telling people to feel this way at all, but I think for me personally, okay, yeah, Lauren Sanchez Bezos is a dubious character, but all of these celebrities have their own dubious means, and we're talking about celebrities here. We're talking about incredibly wealthy people here. We don't know where their money goes. We don't know what they support. A lot of celebrities, and I mean rich people in general, their politics are very different than us. They don't exist in our contemporary world. And so we're talking about Zendaya here, and I don't know what her politics are ultimately. I just don't. You know?
You're right. That is a good point. I just think it was with the Met as well for this year, because Zendaya was a chair for it. I'm guessing that means Law also had quite a big role. I don't remember the intricacies of it, and obviously that one was heavily sponsored by Bezos.
Listen to that episode if you want.
Yes, we have a whole video about the history of the Met Gala. You should definitely go check it out, because art has always been controlled by billionaires, unfortunately. And it's a really tough thing to come to terms with. And we were just saying fashion is art. Well, that does mean a lot of your patrons are going to be rich people with questionable ethics and morals and dubious money.
But then also, like, art exists outside of patronage 100%, too. 100%. And so I'm like, I don't know, because it's something that I really go back and forth with, the means outweighing the ends.
Yeah, that kind of sums up my complicated feelings when it comes to Law and Zendaya. I think what they do is incredible. As I said, I have so much respect for what they're able to pull off. But at the same time, they just have different ethics to me. And you know, that doesn't necessarily mean they're evil or they're wrong, or it doesn't discredit anything that they've done. It's just something I've got to come to terms with. And it does affect how I want to engage with their work. I think it's tough, but also just as someone who loves fashion, they're the only ones doing what they do at the level that they're doing it. It's really hard not to appreciate that and love it and get excited by it.
I think you can. And I think that that's okay. And I don't think that it's like a moralistically bad thing. Engage with what they're producing and like, you know, find inspiration from it or find excitement behind it. And also perhaps like this, I think especially with the earrings, maybe this is a moment where, you know, they learn from that and they move forward. You know, people are able to change and people make mistakes, and maybe it was a total slip up and they're like, shit, we're going to move on from that. And we're going to...
I would really, really respect them if they said something about it.
I would too,
I know they won't, but I would really, really, like that would mean a lot to me. If they made a statement. Well, just to bring it all back to the partnership itself, I think my main thing, the reason I wanted to do this video is because I really do see fashion as a means of storytelling, and these two so clearly create with that ethos too. And I really love that Zendaya takes it as an extension of her role, and it's like a way of almost collaborating with the film itself to work with that narrative and to create, like, explore new things that she wouldn't have been able to explore in the role directly. And it makes the premieres and the red carpets feel like they mean something.
Yes. Than just like a celebrity press run.
Exactly,
you know?
than just a photo op. Like it
Yes,
feels, I don't know, like that it has a purpose and that you are
Yeah.
actually like gaining something from it.
Mhm.
And also just in terms of like, you brought up the word agency a lot, and I think that is a big part of why I'm interested in this. Like, female celebrities are not given a lot of autonomy in the press.
Yeah.
And the fact that she has that autonomy in her own image crafting, there's something really cool about that, and it shows that she has a really strong conviction in that. And like we were saying in the middle of, there's something so beautiful about artistic partnerships. It's something so special, and it's hard to articulate unless you're an artist. It's, I think, kind of difficult to really explain. Being able to create with someone is such a precious thing, and is really rare to be able to do. Like, even just making this podcast with you guys, like, that feels like finding people that you are able to do that work with is not easy, and it's a lot of luck involved. And the fact that they have found each other and also understood how special that connection is really cool.
You're gonna make me cry. That's beautiful. Artistic partnerships, because art is like an extension of you. I don't know, and this might be too deep, but it's like a molding of your souls together.
It
like
really
creating. And I think that and when you get to see that, that is beautiful. I mean, you get to see it play out so well. It's beautiful.
I brought up Lennon and McCartney earlier because I think, like that's probably one of the most iconic, biggest examples of this. But like what people say about them is like, I mean, what a wonder that these two men were not only alive at the same time, but like managed to find each other. We're from the same town. Like it just kind of just makes you think of like, wow. There's gotta we're getting into like a really crazy woo-woo territory. It's like there's gotta be like
but there's
reason.
magic in the world.
There's magic in the world.
We need to create a graphic woo-woo alert.
Literally.
And I will just say, I still just have massive respect for Law Roach. Like, learning more about his life, what he's had to go through, like the fact that he's stuck it out in this industry, I think is really admirable. And again, maybe we don't align on some certain topics, and that's gonna happen sometimes, but I don't think that takes away from him as an artist at all, because sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do, don't you?
I just loved learning, kind of like going from the beginning to present and really seeing that evolution. And also I think it's so important to stress her creative labor that she's put into her own image creation, and I think that is so necessary. So thank you for putting that together.
Of course, I had so much fun.
Beautiful.
Comment down below your favorite Zendaya look. I want to know. There have been so many. And I know
I've
missed so many.
If it's the big hat, if it's the big ass hat, I know that we're cosmically linked.
That was in 2014.
It was so important.
That was way earlier than I thought.
It broke my internet.
If you are watching this and you're like, why didn't they talk about the hat needs its own video, guys.
That's going to be a separate video, guys. We literally don't have time to talk about the hat.
You should subscribe.
And join us for our next video. We'll see you next time. Bye.